What's up, everybody? Welcome to the green room. Welcome to backstage. Welcome to behind the scenes. Welcome. Let's see. All right. Let's see, recording. Got audio. T-minus 3 minutes, and we'll be rolling here. Hey, love it. Pumpkins. Hey guys, we're getting started here in 2 minutes. Thanks for being here. Drop a halo in the chat. Tell us who you are, where you're at, why you're here. No, we're glad you're here, but tell us why you're here. Oh yeah, and let us know. Can you hear us? That's a big one. How's audio? How's video? Hey Matt.
Hey.
Ooh, that's hot mic for me. I'm gonna turn you down, son.
Oh, I was kind of loud.
Hey, check your mic because I don't think that's your. I don't think I'm hearing your beautiful PR40, whatever that thing's called. Your Heil. Yeah, maybe I am.
Yeah, you are.
Does sound a little echoey, but it's maybe because it's so loud here.
What about this?
Oh man, sound like a DJ.
All right, I got to keep it close.
All right, just let us know in the chat there if you've got a audio and a visual on us. Sorry for the super hot light. Wow, it's so hot my finger disappears. That is amazing.
All right, I'm working. We're working. Internet's on our side.
Internet's on our side. I am plugged into high speed, and it's go time. Welcome to this webinar. We are excited that you are here. Thanks so much for joining us. We know that you're busy. We've got about 60 minutes prepared here, and we're I always say this, but we actually are super excited about what we're going to share tonight.
Yeah. So with that said, we really want you to turn off your cell phones and everything else that would distract you from this important information. We know that once this is done, we could talk all night. We know you got to get back to The Walking Dead and Orange is the New Black. So we got to get you back to what you're doing, but we appreciate you being here. Please turn off Facebook, put your phones on silent. Make sure you got a notepad. Like, we really are going to be asking you things to write down because we don't know your business like you do, but you're going to be scribbling some stuff that only you can honestly answer. So for us, real quick, some of you don't know us, some of you do. I'm Matt Davis. Lifestage Films is my wedding brand company, and Harvest Filmworks is my commercial brand. And Ryan is based up in Michigan.
That's all you got?
And I was going to let you do it. So Ryan's based up in Michigan with Epic Motion.
Yeah. So I have two video production companies, Epic Motion and Tell. Epic Motion is our wedding and lifestyle brand, and Tell is our corporate brand, found at gototell.com and epicmotion.com. And together, Matt and I make we'd like to call ourselves superheroes, but for lack of a better word out there, We are Studio Sherpas, and we built this business to help filmmakers build better businesses, filmmakers and creatives. So yeah, this is our passion. We do this, we moonlight doing this because we just love it. It's super fulfilling kind of work, and it's really stuff that we've done probably since we started. Even back when we started, we had no idea what it was that we were doing. We didn't have businesses before this, but we just love sharing and hoping that we can help others.
Yeah. So Sherpas for us is helping others, it's guiding others, and we want you guys to be Sherpas too. If you guys know what a Sherpa is, it's a mountain guide. And so for us, navigating businesses, tricks and successes that we've had, which is what this webinar is about. So the number one reason why creative businesses fail is why you're here today. And so we want you to learn why so many businesses are struggling, because they can't beat the creative bias. And that's something that we've kind of coined, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. And so as creatives, we think that it's our craft that's most important, whether you're a photographer or, filmmaker or graphic artist or anything creative. When we make something as good as we can and thinking that people will just come and flock to us. And so we keep that in our mind. So we just spend the majority of our time focusing on improving the quality of our work. And then so everything that we do is biased towards that. And so we fail to notice the things that are, only that's just a part of the picture. We fail to notice the other parts of the picture, the other pieces of the pie, if you will. So we're going to dive into a bunch of stuff, but just an example of that is if you guys have, let me back it up. So here's what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn what that creative bias is and why it's keeping us creatives and filmmakers from tripling our profits. Literally. We're going to uncover the mentality of a creative that keeps us from growing and attracting big budget clients. Not the ones that we've been dealing with, but the ones that we want. We're going to go over, the biggest mistakes that are keeping us from being booked year round and having healthy profits at the same time. You see that? They go hand in hand. And then lastly, we're going to understand how timing is everything when we deliver estimates and budgets and contracts and proposals. There's a process to that too. And we're going to dive into that in a little bit.
And I just want to say real quick, Matt, your background is so much cooler than my background.
I like to create art, so
you're doing a good job.
It's just music art. So what it is, I don't know if people can see it. It's just, it's not actually mine. It's Jay's.
I know this. Yeah.
He goes to concerts and gets the art from the shows. So
anyway, my part here, we don't want to waste your time. So let's cover who this is for and who it's not for. Who this is for: creatives that don't like selling, and I'm doing the quote marks here. Filmmakers that have a huge backlog and don't have time to find new sales. Those of us that are hustling but still aren't making the kind of money we want or landing the type of jobs that we dream about. If you want to increase sales and have better profits, then you are in the right place. Who this isn't for: freelancers who just want to shoot and edit for other video companies. This is not going to be a good hour spent for you. Studios that are comfortable with their sales process and not willing to change. Again, not a good place for you to be in. People who think that sales isn't for creatives. And finally, people who are consistently booking huge jobs for big profits. We wish that you were on this webinar teaching us. So tell us in the chat here, what is your biggest frustration as a filmmaker and business owner?
And while you're answering that, know that we all on this webinar, both of the people you're seeing right now, have a shared struggle. Me and Ryan love filmmaking. So we started a business. That's what we did about a decade ago. That's just what we thought we needed to do because we loved having a camera in our hand and capturing images and telling a story. So what do? We created a beautiful website, filled it up with a bunch of, we don't want to talk about what Ryan did, the first thing he did. He might dive into it, but regardless, when you look back at what you did, the first thing as us creatives, we hate what we did 6 months ago. So when we talk about what we did a decade ago, we filled it up with our artwork and our nicest work. And then we bought a ton of gear. We bought the things that we thought we needed to tell a story and take better images and tell whatever, so that everything looks sexier and more vibrant. Yet we still didn't make the money that we thought we would. So that's frustrating, right? I mean, that's kind of why it's always been a thorn in our side. And for any creative, you start this thing and it doesn't work out quite like the way you thought it was, right?
Yeah, and I'm curious to know, what did I do when I first started my business? I don't know.
The slideshow company, man.
Hey, man, baby
I think
steps.
you said that you started it right out of college, and you thought that people would pay money, and I guess they did, right? I mean, you started a business,
man. Price is
started
starting
a
at
slideshow,
$49. $49. Anyway, so our shared struggle, the struggle that Matt and I have, the struggle that we share with so many other filmmakers, is that we love filmmaking. We love capturing awesome images. We love telling stories, but we are not naturally inclined or equipped to run a business. I didn't go to business school. I went to school. I got a bachelor degree in speech communication. So I sort of know how to talk, kind of, not really. It had nothing to do with running a business, but I found myself doing this thing at the college that I was working. I went to school. They hired me to work in the enrollment department. I convinced them to buy me a video camera. I started shooting and editing, and I could not get enough of it. And eventually people were paying me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then I left the college because I'm like, I just want people to pay me to do this thing. But I didn't know how to run a business. The only thing I knew how to do was the exchange. Here's your video. Thanks for the check. Here's your video. Thanks for the check. And so then the process started, reading books and going online and figuring out, how in the heck do I run a business? Because I'm running a business right now and I don't know how to run a business. Matt and I are super open and honest when it comes to sharing our successes. We love humble bragging, but also sharing our huge mistakes. And there have been so many over the last 12 years. I have had 2 times over the past 2 years or 12 years, really in the past 5 years, that had been the lowest of the low, where money was not coming in, where it was, I mean, I literally had friends that would tell me, that told me, hey, if you guys need somebody to pay your mortgage next month, we will cover you, because we know the position that you're in. So we've been on highs and we've been on lows. We want to share with you the shift that we've both made in our businesses, that Matt's made in his business, that I've made in my business, that has completely changed the outlook. And for me, having been in a couple of extremely hard places, it's amazing to kind of be on the other side of this. And I still have plenty of growth and stuff to do, but what I've learned in the meantime is it really has been a game changer. So at the end of this webinar, we've got a surprise that we want to tell you about, and we think it's going to be a huge value for your business. So stick around till the end.
So let's talk about some things that are holding us back. Stay tuned to the end, but let's talk about now some things that are holding us back from probably everyone's biggest desire on this webinar. You showed up for a reason. We know you're busy, but we all, as creatives, probably, and if you disagree with me, let us know in the chat, but we want to all invest more time in our craft of making what we make, while at the same time attracting the right kinds of clients. I mean, this sounds like a utopia, right? With healthy budgets, not things that they're nickel and diming us, but things that we can actually make a profit with, and weed out the types of clients that are just not a good fit. Sounds amazing, right? Is there even a way to guarantee that? Yeah, yes. And that's what we want to talk about, because there is a way to make sure that you, from the beginning, start attracting the people that you sought out to attract when you started your business. And so, but we can't get there at all. There is a way, there's a system, there's a process, but we can't get there without seeing the roadblocks in our way first. And that's what's keeping a lot of us from moving forward. So for me, I know that when today, so many of us have great films. We're really good at making films. And it's kind of easy in this day and age to get a DSLR and to have a great lens and to buy this and that and this drone and whatever. Photographers and now graphic artists can have all these templates. It's really easy to do. I'm not even a graphic designer, and I can go on, and if I wanted to, I can make it look like I know what I'm doing. So like, we know that we're talented, but we got that down pat, yet no one sees it except for our moms and people on Facebook. You know, we post that out at work, and we put it online, and we say, yeah, I'm really good. And people comment, they say nice stuff. But my problem was I as a creative, I had a kind of an ego, and I was like, yeah, I'm really good at this. And I kind of know what I'm doing. So I'll just make this demo reel. I'm just going to make this awesome site. I'll get the best template. I'll make some awesome kick-ass videos and put them on my site, and then people are going to come, right? So when I made my first demo reel for my corporate work, I started out as a wedding filmmaker. So that's another topic in itself. And I knew that it's not the same animal. It's not the same client. It's not the same. And that's what we're talking about today, is these bigger budget, these bigger companies and agencies that don't care that you did weddings and stuff like that. So I just made a demo reel of eye candy. I just crossed my fingers and hoped that they would come. And I wasn't using my demo reel in the right way. I wasn't getting the right people to see it. I just wanted people to see that I was really good with a camera. And that was the essence of my demo reel. And it didn't work out. But Ryan did the same thing at first. And so we've had some laughs and some big laughs about this. But Ryan actually had a solution to this. And it's really cool because it got him out of his big problem, his big conflict here.
Yeah, and part of that is just hoping that the beautiful work would convert my clients. And we created a film that introduced our team. It introduced I start on screen, and there, it's paired with a bunch of beautiful images, but I kind of talk about our capabilities. And so for us, it's a capabilities piece. It's about what we do and how we do it and what we don't do. It's been a piece that clients of ours have said, hey, that piece that you just showed us, that's what we need. This video was the right piece that I was able to put in front of the right clients. So it wasn't just, hey, here's some gorgeous imagery of 50 of our most recent jobs, but it had a specific purpose to say, hey, here's who we are, here's what we do, here's what we can do for you, and also help people see what we don't do. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Let me interject. You've actually taken it a step further now. You realize that there's certain industries, now that you made that demo reel, now that you have certain industries, you have little private sites that you can send to specific industries,
right,
to target them, right?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah. Targeting specific videos for specific audiences instead of just creating this gorgeous piece that you're hoping the right person is going to see it. So clients with big budgets are not just looking for pretty films and heartwarming stories. And this was, I had to learn this the hard way. I remember being in meetings, in so many meetings for so many years, and the only thing I knew to do was to bring our most recent work, or like, if we had a recent show reel, and all I would do is just wait for them, watch our reel, and then I would get nervous because they wouldn't do anything, they wouldn't react. Sometimes they would maybe a little smile or whatever. I was waiting and hoping that they would, give me a standing ovation at the end. But I realized that the way the film looks is just one part of what that business cares about. They want to ensure that the path to getting this film is going to be delivered on time and on budget. And that has nothing to do with my amazing drone shots or being able to shoot in 4K. So then I would scramble as they, would start asking me questions about, well, who's going to manage the project, and are you going to be able to hit these dates, and we're going to need to see the first draft by, and I would just be like, oh yeah, yep, totally, yep, we'll be able to deliver that on time, of course, yeah, this is what we do, hoping that they wouldn't notice my desperate attempt at appeasing them. Whatever they were going to say, I was going to come up with a yep, we totally got that. Now I have a process that our team goes through that I share with the client in those meetings. and it puts them at ease. So they don't just think that we're this cool hipster creative video company flying by the seat of our creative pants, but that we care as much about the details of their film as we do the details of how we're going to deliver it and do it within their budget.
And in fact, to agree with you, for me, that process starts with, how you handle them all the way from the first call until delivery of the product. And I kind of had the same mentality. I would get so excited when I had a client call me, like a potential client. And there's a lot that I didn't book, and this is why, because someone would call me up, and I would have a, let's say there's a marketing company in town, Bonsai Marketing. Years ago, they called me up. They were like, hey, because we had networked, I had done that thing, gone out and met some people, and they're like, hey, my client needs a video, and so let's get together and let's have this meeting. And I remember both of us sat in this, and this was years ago. We had these headsets on so we could both hear each other. There was no video Skype or anything like that. But we were both going through just hoping and praying we get this job. And so they said, yeah, we need these. So it was this big company that wanted these doctor videos. I don't even totally remember what it was, but it was basically doctors' offices, this network of people that needed videos for these offices, this big company that owned all these video offices. So when I was on the call, I just simply said, yeah. Oh yeah, I can do that. And so when it came time to actually show them that I wasn't just all talk, the other problem that I had, and this is another reason why creative businesses fail, is that when you put all your trust in your work, and yeah, I had a lot of trust in my work. I talked a big game, like I could send them links, just like I said I already did. But what happens after that? What if you don't have, and that I screwed it up from the beginning. I didn't even realize when they called me, I was already thinking of the sale. I was already thinking that I can do whatever they want. I will be a slave to them. I just want this job. But I never took the time for 5 to 10 minutes just to simply say, hey, you know what? We need to slow down a little bit. What do you want? What do you need? Because you know what? Sometimes you might not be what they need. I didn't think about that. But now that I know that and learn that, I have a process. I have a way that I say, you know what? I don't know what to give you a price for because we haven't really talked about that. A lot of us creatives get an email. They say, hey, we need a commercial. We need some portraits and these photos of this. We just give them a quote. And then what happens? We end up in the hole because we didn't budget for this. We don't even know how much to budget because we didn't ask them. So now that I have a process, I actually weed out the people that aren't good fits. And I know in my mind, you know what? This doesn't sound, I'm getting some red flags here. This doesn't sound like a client that I would really work with based on what they're telling me, because it goes beyond email now. So I look back and I think about that because I don't do that anymore because I don't have time for that, because I don't have time to waste on people that don't really know what we do.
Yeah. So here's the thing about creating really good films that you might not know. You have a process for it. You've got a systematic way that you go about making sure that you're getting the right shot, the right exposure, organizing your shot list, and getting the proper sound bites. There's a process, whether defined or not, whether you have put a name on that or not, you have a process on how to deliver great films. Is it weird that we barely spend any time developing a process for budgeting or creating a statement of work or building proposals? I have wasted countless hours assembling figures, spending time in Excel, trying to remember all the different areas and the things that I needed to account for this job, trying to remember how I did it with the most previous estimate that was totally similar to this one. And I did all of this thinking or hoping that I was making money because someone was giving me a check that I could cash at the bank. So that meant that I was making money, right? working with numbers, formulas, estimates, guessing, and doing it new every single time, every single new inquiry that we would get, it was not scalable. And that did not help with my stress level or with delivering estimates that would be profitable. And it took me away from doing the thing that I was most passionate about doing. And that was the creating, not of proposals and estimates, but of creating awesome films that would get me excited. Now I have a process in place for building estimates and proposals. I'm creating incredibly accurate estimates with super healthy profit margins that are built into the estimate automatically in minutes. And I'm talking like 5 to 10 minutes, where before, if I knew I had to create an estimate, it might take me 4 hours before I even wanted to sit at the computer to do it, because I knew it was going to take a long time and it was going to be stuff that I didn't want to do.
And that's why we're here. Like, that's why we're talking on this webinar, is because we could avoid all those problems that we all face. And if we're talking crazy talk here, if we're taking crazy pills, let us know, because I feel like we had struggled for so many years dealing with the same problems and no one's talking about it, because we don't know what we're doing, because we're creatives. We don't know when we started this business we were going to do this. And that's why we're talking this creative bias.
Hey, Matt,
let's dive into that.
Before we dive into that, my last point on that, knowing that in that 5 to 10 minutes that I'm spending on building that proposal, I know that if we book that job, this is like the most amazing part for us. If we book this job, I'm not wondering if this job is actually going to make me money, regardless of if it's a $500 budget or a $50,000 budget, because I've got it laid out to know this job will be profitable. In the past, that was not the case. It would be a big question mark. So let's get into this creative bias.
Good call, dude. Sorry. As creatives, we think that it's our craft that's most important. You've heard us kind of lead into this, and then we make something as good as we can. We think people are going to flock to us. And so we spend the majority of our time focusing on improving the quality of our work. We've all been there. We're doing it right now. That's what we place the most effort on, and that's the most value we put in our business, is our work. So we're kind of propping our business up on the hopes and prayers of maybe our latest work, of the latest thing we put on Facebook or the latest thing we put on our blog. That's not really how to run a business. So this is the creative bias. Everything we do is biased toward that creative process, and we fail to notice this is only one part of the picture. So I wanted to get into it earlier, and I kind of had to bite my tongue. If you guys remember, about 2007, there was a world-renowned violinist, Joshua Bell. There's a video on Facebook. Just type in Joshua Bell Subway if you guys haven't seen it. But
don't do that right now. Stay here for now.
Me?
I was telling them not to go to YouTube right now.
Oh, I was like, man, I was like, what are you talking about? Oh,
carry on.
Man, I was getting excited. This is a cool story. So, yes, I'm going to do this right now. So he sits on this corner in the subway in Washington, D.C., puts a baseball cap on. No one knows who the heck he is. And so he starts playing violin. Well, most of us have come in contact, and here in Wilmington, there's been a few panhandlers that are very talented at singing and playing trumpet and saxophone. And we just kind of walk by because we're either busy and whatever. No one realizes, as creative as this guy is, as talented as he is, no one is stopping. If you watch this video, it goes by they speed it up even. And this time lapse of people walking past him, no one stops. But yet, if you put a mediocre violinist in the middle of Carnegie Hall, they're going to get a wild reception just because of where they are. It's the perspective of it. And so our point is, you can't just base your business on your creative talent and your passion. It's not going to get you everywhere you want to go. It's not just about your creativity. So we forget that big companies don't care about the final look and feel of a film. We know we're talented, and they know we're talented. They know that's great. They want to know that their project, and this is a big kicker, this is where this bias really hurts us. They want to know that their project's going to be delivered on time and on budget, and they want to know that you have a solid process in place. They need to know that you're not some creative type that's not going to flake and drag out the deadline and not be motivated to produce the story that they need. So let me ask you this: what's your process? Like what are you doing? Are you one of the people that's just hoping and praying that when you put your work out, it's gonna produce leads and more work? And that's a part of it. That's a really big, it's an important part of it, but it's not the whole part of it. So let's not do that. And this is the point. This struggle is why we're all tuning in today. And basically, Ryan, how would you sum up the creative bias?
Well, the creative bias says that making great work will be enough to serve as your sales force. It's like it will sell, your work will sell for you, right? Well, why is great work, inspiring work, beautiful work, why is it not enough? Now, author of a book, Personal MBA, Josh Kaufman, he says that there are 5 parts required to run any business: value creation, marketing, sales, value delivery, and finance. He says take away any one of those 5 parts and it's not a business. And a venture that doesn't bring in enough money to keep operating will inevitably close. And this is why 96%, this is a high number. This is why 96% of businesses fail within 10 years. Thank you, Inc. magazine, or no thanks. Kaufman goes on to say, a business is a repeatable process. So he says a business is a repeatable process. Write that down. That, and there's 5 things here. It's a business is a repeatable process that creates and delivers something of value that other people want or need at a price they're willing to pay for in a way that satisfies the customer's needs and expectations so that the business brings in sufficient profit to make it worthwhile for the owners to continue operation. It doesn't matter if you're running a solo venture or a billion-dollar brand. Take any of those 5 factors away and you don't have a business, you have something else. So in both of those descriptions, Josh shares that the creation, which is our films, that they are only one part of 5 needed for a successful business. And of course, we know that we've got to have somebody doing our taxes at the end of the year. And yes, we have to deposit checks and that sort of thing. But when we rely on our films to be both the deliverable and our sales force, it is not good for business and will be just getting by until we can't get by anymore. And I've experienced this when we have actually put a focus on sales, and not like sleazy sales, trying to sell somebody that they don't need, but sales in a way that is helpful for our clients and actually guides them to a solution. We have seen huge success for our clients and for our pocketbooks.
And that's oh man, that was my problem. I don't even want to mention the name of I called my business Focused. I can't even say it. Focused Life Video Productions when I first started. So stoked about it when I first started. But when I started my business, I thought, you know what? If I'm going to be a videographer or filmmaker, I got to buy all this stuff. If I'm going to be a professional, if someone's going to take me seriously, I bought all the gear, all the cameras and the lighting gear and the editing suite and all the software I needed. I never once thought about, and let me back it up. That's a system. That's a process. Like you think you're buying all this stuff because you need to know how to specifically deliver a product. What I didn't think about was the process of selling. And I don't mean, most of us have to deal with it. Like that word means nothing to us. Like it means, yeah, everyone has to deal with selling. Yeah. That's what my website's for. That's what Facebook's for. That's what Instagram's for. You know, I've got a newsletter. I do these shows over here and I go to this networking event. That's not selling. It's not selling in the sense of actually helping somebody and helping the clients that you need to be in front of. And I spent so many years being in front of the wrong people, even though I was booked up. And that's the difference. I think a lot of us think that sales is fine. It's just one of those things we have to deal with because it's part of business. And so you win some, you lose some. You don't get some of the jobs, and you get this nice big one once in a while, and so you think, yeah, things are working. Okay, cool. But I was booked up for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized later it was because my prices were too freaking low. Why wouldn't they book me? So there's a balance there of yeah, if you offer something that's valuable but it's half the price, yeah, people will book you. But is that really profitable? Is that running a business? Is that doing something that you started out to do? And it wasn't for me. And I'm a lot of you guys might agree. It gets demoralizing after a while. You start getting burned out. You start getting jaded by why you started your business to begin with. I wasn't happy. And so even though I thought that I was pretty freaking amazing and all these people commented on my films, I still wasn't getting the jobs that I wanted. And so a lot of things change, Ryan, like for us as filmmakers, I mean, gear changes all the time and we put so much focus on it, right?
Well, it's what set me apart. In 2006, I bought a glide cam, and
Yeah.
this made my footage look like I was floating. I mean, it looked like, you know, a $10,000 steady cam that professionals were using, and I was the only one in the Detroit market that had this, and so people were hiring us like crazy because I had spent $2,000 on this rig. That was it was amazing, and the shots that we were getting were so cool. Well, then fast forward 2 years, everybody in my market had picked up on this, like, oh, Ryan, this is what he's using. Everybody that's coming to meet with us is saying, like, hey, can you make your stuff look like that? And they're like, what is he doing? And they're letting me know and or asking me. And I'm like, oh, I'm using this. So they buy it. And so 2 years later, everybody's got one. So all of our footage looks the same. Well, then in 2008, 2009, whenever the DSLR revolution came around, we bought a 5D Mark II, and then we got to use a Canon 50 millimeter 1.2 lens, a Canon 85 millimeter 1.2 lens, or 1.4, whatever it was, and our footage looked unbelievable. I mean, it was what I had always wanted to look like. It looked like I was making a movie, and we had this glide cam. So pair those things together. Oh my gosh! And people were booking us because they're like, oh my gosh, your stuff looks like nobody else's. Well, guess what happened? A year and a half later, everybody else in the Detroit market is shooting with a DSLR. So then and here's the thing, that stuff didn't come cheap. I had to invest in brand new equipment, and that keeps happening. That has not stopped since I started this business. Every 6 months, a new, better, faster, cooler, smoother, flyer, whatever is coming out. So all of our work, it looks amazing. We all look like we are, straight out of LA shooting these Hollywood movies. So what is the differentiator? I mean, half of our relatives own a DSLR today and getting pretty images. There has to be something other than equipment that sets you apart.
Well, Ryan, it's storytelling, of course. I mean, right? You're a good storyteller. And I'm being
on my website
here, but like, right? All of us use that word. The way we tell stories sets us apart. But I'm not sure if you've looked lately, but almost every filmmaker uses the word story or storytelling. There is nothing wrong with that. We need to be telling good stories. That is a big deal. If you don't know how to tell good stories, that's another issue. However, if all of us are saying that we do and are telling good stories in their marketing, we all kind of sound the same, right? So unless you can get a client that can watch one of your films and you can speak to their specific audience, so they know that you can tell a story for them, they'll be relevant to convert their audience. It doesn't matter how good of a storyteller you are if you're not speaking to them. I used to, excuse me, I used to go into a meeting and show, I've done a few things for construction companies and then some lawyer films. Did a few hotel things, but I would go into these things and not listen to them. I would shove my work in front of them and say, listen, this is the last thing I did for this hotel. But it was a construction company or a property developer. And I just said, just look at it and see the quality of it. We can probably do the same thing for you. Oh my gosh. Like how many meetings did I waste just speaking the wrong things because I didn't have a process. I didn't have a plan. You know what I mean? Like that was something that I never had. Never thought I had to have. I just kind of walked away thinking, oh, well, I win some and you lose some. But I didn't think about them and about a process because I was winging it. It's literally what I was doing.
Well, I mean, what else is there besides the work that we create and the stories that we tell? Why would people hire us? The creative bias has us using our work as the biggest motivator for people to hire us. Did you know that if someone has 10 or 20, 30, 40, $50,000, they don't want a video, they don't want the video that they get to just be filled with drone shots and 4K and graded magically. They want some kind of return. They want to know, if this is for a business, they want to know that with their video that they're going to receive a production calendar. They want to know that, you know, this thing is going to have, they're going to have a number of drafts, and they want to trust you, and they can't, by watching a great film, how can they trust you? How can they know that you are going to not flake out on them like half of the other super creative people that they've worked with, who have made amazing films but have been super late on delivering and have been really hard to work with because it's just hard to wrangle them in, and they're late for meetings and they're not showing up, and we're not hearing from them, and they just don't have a good process for us to get around. How do you think that business runs, and how do you think they make all of their other decisions that they have to make? Do you think that they just make them creatively, or do you think that when they hire somebody, they need to know that who they're hiring is going to be able to deliver on time, on budget, with exactly what it is that they're promising?
And that's the thing. These companies, they know creative when they see it, and there's no doubt. And you might not be the most creative on the block. You might be, but who cares if you go in there without a structure? Just like Ryan said, when you go into a meeting knowing that they think the same way you do, that most big companies have a process, they have structure, they have systems in place. And when you go in there and whether you're a nice, cute, just newly married female that just is just starting out because she just got married, or you've been in this for 20 years, or you're a hipster, or you're tall, or you're short, or whatever, they don't care. When you go in there without a process, they don't trust you. I'm a parent. I don't care. And there might be some parents that are listening. If you don't have structure, if you don't have rules, and if you don't have a way that keeps a nurturing relationship here, for my two girls, if I didn't have any rules, they would probably feel less safe. Does that make sense to people? When you walk into a meeting with this agency or this larger company that you might be terrified about, but if you do have a system, not only is it holding your hand because you've done this before, you're starting to learn and appreciate this and practice it. But when they see that you're kind of controlling, in a nice way, the conversation, they know that you got this. They know that you've done this before, and that that you're listening to them. When you walk in and just show them your work, we shoot ourselves in the foot so many times and just throw up a price or whatever. We don't even know what we're doing. Of course they don't trust us. And that's the problem. We need structure. So as a parent, I learned that, and I've actually applied it to my business, which is kind of cool.
Is this resonating? Is this making sense? Matt and I are very passionate, very excited about this whole concept. The creative bias, putting all of our effort into growing as quality filmmakers, spending time at conferences and on gear and all of this stuff, and neglecting the practice of attracting dream clients that pay you what you are worth, is keeping a lot of us in this starving artist category. Yet, despite the urge to focus on raising the bar creatively with our craft, a large amount of filmmakers have taken this process that we've created to heart and have begun applying it with huge success. And it's not as hard as you think to start attracting and serving clients that are eager to pay you 5 and even 6 figures. And this actually happens.
Because we realize, sales is different in the creative industry. You can't just go sign up and, gosh, I'm guilty of it. And there's nothing, God rest his soul, like it's not a Zig Ziglar kind of thing, or it's not a Tony Robbins where any kind of sales is we can all digest sales books. For us, sales for a creative product and a piece of art is totally different, because the creative bias, again, we're going to keep repeating it. It's that we believe that it's going to sell itself, but that's not the case. This industry is very specific on how we help people understand the value of what we're creating. I'm not a photographer, but you know what? The same thing applies to photography in that you know how you can help a client. It's not something that you can necessarily just learn at a sales workshop. Yet, how many people do we know that are amazing shooters and editors, but just terrible at business? This kind of process gets us confident, not only in our work, but in the way that we're showing our work. And there's a way to do it. And there's a process that works that takes the guesswork out of everything. And that kind of frees you up to start creating and building the way that you want to. So that's the thing here. We're winding down. This is the biggest reason creative businesses fail, is the creative bias. Can we all relate to that? That we think that our latest work or any of our work or our website or the stuff on our website is going to sell itself, and we can just sit back and wait for the clients to come pouring in. I hope that I'm not alone here. That's just not the case. That hasn't happened. You get some nice kudos temporarily, but that's just not going to work. You have to have a plan, you have to have a process, and you have to have a system that works so that you're confident. Because most of us, can we just be real here? We're terrified of sales. You know why? Because that's not what we set out to do. That's not why we started this business. And we just think, well, I don't like that. I'm not going to do that. Therefore, I don't want to be a salesperson. So I'll just leave it up to luck in my work. That's the creative bias. And that is the biggest reason that after 10 years, there's only 3% of us that are still around. And so that's not a real good reason to start a business, is it? So you see what's at stake? Your business needs you to have processes not only on the creative side of things. You know how to set up a shot. You know how to set up your camera. You know how to light an interview. You know how to edit a film. You know what things to put on there, filters, and you know how to do your vector scopes, and you know how to do color correction and color grading. Those are systems. But we don't spend any time focusing on the systems that actually bring us in money. And that's what your business needs. And that stuff's, the conflicts that we have are not going to get resolved if we don't think about the systems that actually give us confidence in sales. And it doesn't have to be sleazy.
In 2010, I had owned my business for about 5 years, and it was the most exciting 5 years of my entire life. I got married, so that was like really exciting. And I had traveled the world. I got to speak at these national conventions for videographers. But for me, and people were paying me for this craft, and I was learning, and I was becoming a great filmmaker, and all this stuff, and we were winning awards, but it was still, for me, it was a hobby that I was just surprising myself, like, oh my gosh, like this is really cool. When we got pregnant with our second kid in 2010, I had to make a decision. Andrea, my wife, did not want me in the house anymore. I had some interns, I had employees, people just kind of coming in and out of the house. I had to make a decision, and the decision was, do I want to be the best filmmaker in the world, or do I want to have a solid business that might even be able to run without me? And if I wanted to be the best filmmaker in the world, then that's where I needed to spend my time and energy, is building this craft. But I knew that I had to get out of the house. So that meant that I had to get a studio. And really, if I was going to get a studio, I had to make more money, because being in the house saved me a lot of money by not having to get a studio. So I had to hire people, and I had to make more money. So for me, I really had to just say, okay, this is a moment of filmmaker or business owner. And can I be a filmmaker that is a business owner? Yeah, let me figure out how that works. Well, what I had to do was I had to create systems, because I hired an employee and I needed them to be able to do the first thing that I had somebody do was to burn DVDs for me, create menus and burn the DVDs. And that was the most freeing thing in the world, because I hated that job so much. But the only way I could do that was to create these repeatable systems that this person could come in and do. And then I got addicted to that whole idea of like, oh my gosh, I don't have to do this anymore because I taught this person how to do this. And that was like the beginning of it. Today, fast forward a few years, and I've got 5 employees. We've got a 2,500 square foot studio. I am so grateful for the work that we've received and for how successful we become. I don't say it in a braggy type way. All I say is, like, there's no way that we could be where we're at today if I didn't take the time and energy to build some systems around all of the process, all of the things that needed to happen in order to get our work done, not just the making of the craft, but of selling of the craft and of marketing and just all the areas of business. If I didn't have a repeatable system that other people could actually sell, then we would be limited to how much money that we're making, and it would all fall on my shoulders. And it wasn't easy. I had to learn that I kind of needed to grow up and just say, okay, this is for real. I have a family, and I want to support them, and I want to be able to do this comfortably for the next 20 or 30 years.
And for me, I had the wrong timing with a lot of things, and I grew the same way you did, Ryan. Like I learned how to hire editors and filmmakers to kind of take over that creative process so I could sell, because I love going out there and meeting people and talking to people and hearing stories. But I still screwed up. When you still grow your business, you still have to have systems. I met with Hilton Hotels years ago. And so fast forward, like, it's not the same kind of situation where this doctor company was on the phone with me and I totally blew it. I actually got to the point where they liked me. They thought I was pretty cool and they liked their work. But when it came time to sending proposals and pricing, I blew it because I didn't have a system. I didn't know the right time or the right way to even, how many of us creatives don't even know why we're charging what we're charging? And so all this hopefully has resonated with you guys, because it all goes hand in hand. When you have a machine that starts working and you actually have a tool. So once we figured that out, once I said, why am I walking into this meeting blindly? Like, why am I doing that? Now I don't have to do that anymore. Now I know I have a template for how to price this and how to price it the right way so that I'm not, gosh, another story. I mean, really quickly, I was used to charging for weddings at the time because that's what I started out as. I missed out on this job that I quoted for, like, and I thought at the time it was a lot, but I was like, oh yeah, 10,000. But they came back and said, oh yeah, we went with someone else. And I actually had you should ask, oh, okay, what was the reason? Well, it was kind of an underbid. The job went for like $30,000. I just didn't have the mindset to think, oh shoot, like, not that I could have charged that, but if I gotten the job, I would have been in the hole because it would have taken that much to create that film. So I learned the hard way, and now I have a system in place. Now, once your business starts progressing in the mindset of having systems, you don't have to think about that stuff anymore. You don't have to think about how to build proposals or how to price this stuff. Or if some new company from a different industry that you never worked with before asks you if you can make this, you're not scared to know, like, oh, I don't have any clue what to charge, which is what we also kind of revert back to. It's like, I have no idea. So I learned to have systems. And now my life is way easier because of the systems that Ryan, you and I put in place.
Right. So if you haven't heard us say that, if you don't know the answer to this upcoming question, I'm not sure you've been listening, but everyone knows that if you make really great films, that they'll sell themselves, right? No, there's no book out there that actually says if they build it, if you build it, they will come. If you want to build a business that's sustainable, one that grows, that you're profitable, and that continues to be, you have to create systems around your selling. We believe that you have to do something to build a sales pipeline. And most of us, I didn't even know what this was until a couple of years ago. But as the creative bias would say, you're not a salesperson. You're a creative, and you should be focusing on creative things. But we think that there is a better way, and something that doesn't have to take away from the thing that you are really skilled at, which is your craft of creating films. We believe that selling shouldn't be part of your creative process. It should be something that you're able to do without thinking too long and too hard about it, and that there are tools out there that can help speed this process along to where it's not such heavy thinking and heavy lifting for your brain, versus if the creative bias that would say, if you're going to win over new clients, you have to labor over pitching and quoting and proposing, that those things just, that comes with sales. Have you ever lost on a job because you took too long to get a proposal back? Raise your hand. This hand is raised. I should raise it high. Have you ever spent hours writing and then designing a proposal? Oh my gosh. I used to use InDesign for building beautiful proposals, and they were gorgeous, but it was a total waste. Have you ever had a proposal that you needed to write and you kept putting it off for days? Yes, this is me. These are things that I was afraid of doing because I didn't have a good system for how to get it done in a effective way, but in a quick way that didn't hurt my poor creative brain that would rather be out filming.
So guys, stop believing the lie that simply making beautiful work will attract the right clients that you've wanted the whole time with larger budgets that you want. I mean, having systems in place allows you to make an impression, but beyond your work, because that's what it takes to stand out from your competition. In a day where all of us have every single piece of gear you can imagine, we all fawn and drool over it. At the end of the day, like, yeah, we're all pretty talented, but so what? What are you doing to help that client realize that they can trust you? Well, it starts with trusting your own process. It starts with having a habit, just like you have a habit with how you set up a shoot, how you film an event, how you film a commercial. You create habits, and we're just not used to that as creatives. So let's say it again. No matter how great your work is, most of us filmmakers treat that aspect of a business as like an end-all be-all. Like, yep, my work's great. I don't need to hear from you, Matt and Ryan, anymore. So we just keep focusing on building beautiful work. But for what? Building beautiful work is great, but it doesn't stop there. It's not going to be the end-all be-all. Our method, once we've realized this, our method, because we have competition too. We have, and it's not just even about competition. Oh my gosh, it's about like serving people and having clients that we want to spend time with. Like I said, I have 2 kids. There's only so many projects I can take in a year, and you better believe I'm going to make a profit on it. And I'm going to have fun doing it. And how much of our lives and our years in the last season of our business have been spent with clients we don't like, and we're filming things that are just maybe paying the electric bill and whatever. Our method solves this creative bias problem. No matter how great your work is, you need to run a business that supports that great work instead of leaning on your work to support it. Does that make sense? We need to create a business that supports that great work. You have to have a foundation instead of just leaning on your great work to support your business. So we can all agree there's plenty of great work out there. Failure is going to be imminent, though. You can't just base your success on work, because you're going to blend in. None of us, what does Seth Godin say, Ron? It's like mediocrity is exhausting. And when we go and pitch these things to these larger clients that we want, would you rather be mediocre, or would you actually want to stand out and help them? And they walk away thinking, oh my gosh, this person knows exactly what's going on. They hear us.
Well, in the coming days, we're going to be sharing with you part of our process that we've created and adapted over years that we believe will help you land the right jobs and also save you time estimating and proposing jobs that are the wrong jobs, or avoiding doing those ones. This is a sneak peek into a larger process that we use for sales, from gaining new clients and initial conversations with them through delivering epic and accurate proposals that yield healthy profit margins. We are giving you part of this system, and we believe that if you apply it to your work, that it's going to save you a ton of time. It is going to relieve stress from your life. And you're going to see that adding some systems to your sales process is going to be key in landing bigger jobs, better jobs, and leading to more fulfilling work and rest.
Guys, we mean that. We're going to give you something that we are charging for, but we're giving you this. something we charging hundreds and hundreds of dollars for. Stay tuned to your inbox. Please pay attention, because the next part of this process is going to give you the victory of all this, the solution to what this whole webinar has been about. This is one piece of it, but it's going to be the good building block for you guys to start making money now and start having confidence and freedom in the business that you've already created. So stay tuned as we give you one of the biggest tools that will solve one of the biggest desires that you have. And all because we do love you. You spending time with us today, and we love you for that. So we want you to succeed. We want you to stay tuned, and we're rooting for you big time. So look for your inbox, an email from us, and we're looking forward to seeing some success in your business.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll see you soon.